Hi, this is Dot Porter, and I'm with Amy Hutchins, and we are in the Special Collections Center at the University of Pennsylvania, and we are looking at a manuscript. Amy, what's the manuscript?
We are about to look at a manuscript that is a medical and astrological miscellany from the 1440s in southern Germany. And it has a stamped pigskin binding, which is very German. These used to be white bindings are very German, and it has two clasps to hold the book solidly shut to keep its pages from warping. It begins with a liturgical calendar, and it is it's an interesting liturgical calendar because it has the things that you would expect in terms of saints' days and astronomical information, not very intense astronomical information, but number of days in the month and things you need to figure out the day of the week and things like that. But then it also has medical information written in it, which is unusual. So this is the beginning of the calendar, and it's mostly in Latin, the calendar, although the manuscript overall is mostly in German. And so you can see it says Januarius up at the top here.
Yep.
And it says that January has 31 days. And it has the letters A through G over and over again in one column, which was for figuring out the day of the week. If you knew that the A's were Sundays in the year that you were in, then in any calendar you'd be like, oh, A, that's going to be on a Sunday. B, that's going to be on a Monday.
Okay.
And then there are pictures to go with with the months. And
this looks like Aquarius.
This is Aquarius, exactly. So they tend to be the zodiac, and then activities that happen at the right time of year. And this whole book is about the zodiac in various contexts. And so even though you would think it might be strange to have a calendar with saints' days, that was sort of how calendars worked in general, and the zodiac signs are going to be important throughout the whole book. The medical information is in these less formally written segments at the end of each month.
Right, so this, like this one.
Exactly.
Right.
And here you can see the name Almansor, which is underlined in red. And it's underlined because it's a proper name. And that is a reference to a book that was written by a 9th or 10th century Islamic physician named Al-Razi, and it was the Kitab al-Mansur. Mansur was the ruler that he dedicated it to, but it became known as Al-Mansuris, and so that's what that passage is talking about. And then this is a picture of feasting, because it's an indoor activity that you can do when the weather is bad.
I see. So the first image that we had was of the astrological sign,
right?
And then this has to do with something that you do during that month.
Exactly.
I get it.
Exactly. So as we move forward, we see Pisces, and here's St. Dorothy.
Oh, I like that. There she is. Wow.
She is, right next to Agatha and Apollonia, all these women who met horrible ends.
Oh, dear.
And you can see that people are adding notes to the calendar. So here, that note is dated 1503, even though the manuscript is from the 1440s.
Right.
And
so they were actually using this manuscript.
Right. They were using it for something, and they wanted to add more information to the calendar. So the calendar goes that way through the year, and I flagged this one because this is the name of Galen. So again, a famous physician of medieval medicine who they are citing. It's very nice of them to underline the proper names. That helps a lot, especially with German script.
It is kind of a messy looking script, isn't it?
It's very hard if you're not really comfortable with it. And then skipping to the end of the year, so this is the page for November, which interested me for two reasons. One is that they've slipped into German for the top. So instead of talking about the 31 dies, it's now 30 Tag. So that's just a kind of interesting sign that they're just kind of going back and forth between the two languages. It probably doesn't matter too much to them which one they're working with. And on the back, this is the feast day of Conrad, who was the Bishop of Constance. And that's one sign that's the area that this calendar was meant to serve.
Right.
So we're in southern Germany near Lake Constance, and he gets a red letter day because he's a special guy in that area. Other fun things in this manuscript are pictures of representations of the planets as people.
Oh.
So this is Mars,
Oh, that makes sense.
looking sort of, I don't know, I think he's sort of endearingly goofy with his visor down over his face. And then each of the planets is associated with a couple of the zodiac signs. So this is, again, another kind of astronomical take on the zodiac and how how it lines up with the planets. So that's Mars. And you can
this
see
is
in the
interesting.
rubric- Oh, yes. So
That's got a long finger.
Yes, that's a manicule, which is really just kind of a fun way of putting an asterisk in the margin or an arrow that says, look
Read
here,
this,
this is
yeah.
important. And this manuscript is kind of fun because the manicules are quite well dressed. They've got these fancy cuffs. That is the sun. And you can see him holding the golden disc in his lap that goes with
Oh, I
being
see.
the sun.
Yes, there we are. And then he's got 2 lions.
He's got 2 lions. He doesn't get zodiac signs, I guess, not being a planet. I'm not sure about that. But there's Venus, and then we're back to the format with the zodiac signs. And after the manuscript works its way through talking a lot about the zodiac and the planets, there's a little section on astronomy, sort of making the observations that you need to make to do this. And so here we have a picture of 2 astronomers, and one is, perhaps consulting tables in the book at the lectern, and the other is using an instrument called a quadrant, which was used for measuring either altitude or angular distances between objects in the heavens.
Right. Cool.
So those are perhaps in some ways meant to represent the audience of this book, the people who would be caring about the zodiac and how to interpret.
Ooh.
And this, in a way, is kind of an image that covers, it really, to me, sort of represents the whole book, because it's an explicit blend of the zodiac, astrology, and medicine. There was an idea that different parts of the body were controlled by different signs.
Right.
And so all of the signs of the zodiac are placed on this figure to tell you what you need to look at if you've sprained your ankle, for example.
So fish.
Yes, Pisces. Pisces
yes.
is very important.
That's very neat.
And it was a very popular image. It continued to persist in printed works on anatomy and medicine for quite a while. So after all of those fun things, the last fun thing in this manuscript is that the person who put it together actually signed it, and we're not always that lucky. And so it says at the end, now we're back in Latin, that this calendar was written by me, Heinrich Stegmüller. And this is the German town of Buchau, which is not far from Lake Constance. It might well have been within that diocese. And then he dates it, 1443. And somebody later went in and wrote it in numbers to make it easier, because he writes it out in words with the millesimo, quadrigentesimo, quadragesimo, tertio, and somebody said 1443.
All right, this is great. Thank you so much, Amy.
You're welcome.